What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into a Saturday morning episode of the Daily Juice podcast with me, Matt Perrault, at Sports Talk Matt, to follow me on Twitter. And I'm back after the day that I knew that was coming. This is the thing about doing this podcast and doing it for as long as I have, since July of 2020. Those days, the 0-4s, are always lurking. When you're hot, the roller coaster drop is going to happen. And look, we had gone 11 straight days without having a loss of one unit. We had had a couple of quarter unit days, nothing really serious, but we hadn't had the stomach drop. We hadn't had the plunge, and we had the plunge last night. I mean, my gosh, I added the under for the Clippers game. At one point, the live total was 299.5. I bet under 238. Okay, give you an idea of just how bad I was yesterday. That's how bad of a read I had on that game. I'm really bad at the NBA. There's just no cutting corners on this. Me and the NBA do not see eye to eye. I'm still on this 9-2 run with college basketball. So I'm going to bet 3 games in college basketball today. But if you guys have been with me for a while, you know where I go when I start going cold. I tend to shrink. I like to push it when I'm hot. And I tend to play defense a little bit when I'm cold. Not to say I'm playing defense. I've got 3 full unit bets. I've got 3.3 units in play. So it's not like I'm, putting a unit in play. But the parlay lost. We missed 2 of 3 on the parlay last night. The Wild continued to be the most screwed up team in hockey right now. I mean, betting their unders, it's no more first period under. Just bet their game under. 2-0 in the first period on Thursday. 2-0 final. 1-1 after 1 on Friday, 2-1 final. I mean, that's just me with bad reads. Now, I've been reading everything perfectly for so long, just a bad read. I got the Avalanche game way wrong. 5 goals got scored in the first period, but it was a 5-1 final. Game almost stayed under. It was 5, and it was a, what was it? It was a 5.5. So it went over, but it was nearly an under, so or a push on a 6. So just, hockey, I'm going to pause on hockey probably for the weekend. Now, there's a UFC card tonight. It's a garbage card, but there's a fight, the main event, the Span fight is interesting. I want to bet the over in that fight. I don't think I'm going to, but I might add it later. If I go 3-0 in college basketball today, I'll probably bet the over 1.5 rounds at plus money for the main event. It's a 5-round main event. Normally, these guys tend to go slow in a 5-round main event, but the first 3 minutes of the main event fight is going to be an absolute war. And if you can survive the first 3 minutes, basically the first half of the first round, I think the fight flies over. But the opportunity for a knockout or a submission in the early first round is really high in the Apex, in a smaller octagon with light heavyweights. It's why I'm not going to make it official, but the Span fight going over 1.5 rounds is a bet that I like. The rest of the card, I'm just not really interested in at all for the UFC. Obviously, we've got a monster card next weekend. We're going to be heavily loaded up on the pay-per-view card next weekend. It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait to watch this fight. I might even go to it. I don't know. We'll see. But it's going to be Gane versus John Jones next weekend in Las Vegas. Just amazing. Incredible fight. Awesome fight. Can't wait to watch it. So right now, 3 bets we got going on for the college basketball ranks that I'm going to give you here today. All of them are full unit plays. But before we do that, let me tell you once again about why you guys should be using BettingPros, the free application. Available for download right now. Android, iOS, in the App Store. You can use this to seamlessly sync your sportsbook accounts to automatically track your bets across all sportsbooks in one spot. You can filter out and track your bets and your performance by sport, by game picks, by props, by parlays, and more. This is such a big deal. If you're an OG or you're a daily listener and you're on it every day, whether you're fading my picks or betting my picks, whatever you want to jump into, whatever you're trying to be a part of, there are opportunities here to be a better gambler by tracking what you are doing and watching what you are doing and finding what you are good at and what you are bad at, watching what you are successful with and what you're not. I mean, somebody said to me last night that, they bet my plays, so that was bad, but then they also jumped in with a bunch of in-game bets that missed. If you're bad at in-game betting, maybe it's a way to track it, to find out whether or not there are certain times and bets you're not making the right call. It's a good way to see that, after the fact, after a couple of weeks of doing it. So you get personalized bet recommendations that are tailored to your interests as well. So it's very, very cool. The prop bet cheat sheet is in there. That's when I'm going to bet the NBA most likely. Probably get involved with the prop bet cheat sheet at some point in the future, but not yet. That was the Clippers being first game back after the All-Star break. That was a bad read by me. So we're going to let the NBA play out just a little bit here since the All-Star break kicked in. Let the data kind of filter in so we can properly have it for you. Download the BettingPros app for free today. iOS and Android stores available for you right now. Okay, 3 games, 2 totals, 1 side. Let's start with Baylor and Texas. This is a 2 p.m. Eastern time start. Maybe the game of the day. Big 12, monster. Total for this game is 148.5. Baylor's -3, 3.5. KenPom has this 7.5 points higher than what the books had it last night. 148.5. 156 is what the books, or what KenPom has it rather. The books have 148.5. These are the top 2 offenses. Sorry, these are the 2 top 15 offenses in college basketball playing each other. 7-8 Baylor at home to the over. 6-5 Texas to the over. Now the first game was 149, similar total. It went under by 2. Maybe that's why we're seeing this number be at 148. However, we're talking about Texas, and they are in the top 51 teams in possession length. They play fast, up tempo. Baylor shoots a lot of threes. They're 51st in the country shooting threes. I need an old school Texas basketball game. And when Baylor played Baylor played Kansas on the road. They were so hot. We need that version of Baylor again here up against Texas. Now, Baylor has to win this because Texas is tied with Kansas atop the Big 12, but 1 game back is Baylor. So Baylor needs to win this, or I guess 2 games back, sorry, it's Baylor. Baylor needs to win this if they want any shot of winning the Big 12. Most likely they're not going to be involved. Texas on the road, though, not really in love with only a 1 possession or 3.5 points. I think I need a little more than that to get involved with Texas. I lean towards Texas, but I'm going to take the over. 1.1 units over 148.5 for Baylor in Texas. Should be a very fun basketball game. Hopefully it's up and down, crazy tempo, typical Big 12 no defense, over 148.5 for 1.1 units. Second bet, Iowa and Michigan State. This is an early start, 11 a.m. Central Time, noon Eastern Time start, 9 a.m. on the West Coast. Okay, so if you're betting this, you got to bet it right away. Iowa, Michigan State, KenPom has the number at 148. It's 144.5 in Vegas at certain books. Some books are at 145. I saw East Coast books at 146. Iowa is 11-4 to the over at home. They are an over team. We've bet Iowa at home a bunch. I mean, you might be like, man, Michigan State, Tom Izzo, Matt. I don't know. They play defense. Actually, Michigan State's 9-5 to the over on the road. The first game went way under, like 20 points under in the first game, but that's because it was at Michigan State, and Iowa can't shoot the ball on the road. They're horrific. But at home, they hit threes. They play fast. They hit threes. Their offense clicks. Their crowd's in it. For whatever reason, this Iowa team at home is much different than an Iowa team on the road. They're an under team on the road. They're an over team at home. I'm going to expect this home team crowd. I'm going to expect the Iowa Hawkeyes that we've seen and follow the KenPom number here with, basically, 3.5 points of value. Over Iowa, Michigan State, 144.5 over for 1.1 units. Circa Sports in Vegas had this tonight at 144.5, or last night at 144.5. And finally, St. Mary's and Gonzaga. Late night West Coast game, monster game in the West Coast Conference. Gonzaga, St. Mary's, Drake and Bradley. Best 2 games of the weekend in college basketball. Swear to my goodness. Unbelievable games. Line's 5. KenPom has this as a 2-point game, and I agree. This is a 1-possession game. St. Mary's won the first game, and maybe that's why it's +5, because I think Gonzaga is going to come back and blow them out. But this is the number 1 efficient offense in the country in Gonzaga up against the number 5 efficient defense, according to KenPom, in the country. 7-5 ATS St. Mary's on the road, 6-5-1 Gonzaga at home. 9-6 in conference ATS St. Mary's, 7-8 in conference for Gonzaga. First game won by 8 points. They were 3-point home favorites for St. Mary's. SMU now gets 5 on the road. I think this is a one-possession game. I think this game could look very similar in the final score perspective of Northwestern Illinois, where maybe St. Mary's gets out to a lead early, and then Gonzaga comes back, uses the home crowd. Maybe Gonzaga wins the game on a late push, but St. Mary's defense is so good. KenPom likes St. Mary's better than Gonzaga, but they like this to come down to a one-possession, last possession type of game. I think we're in for an absolute barn burner here. I think in rivalry games like this for the West Coast Conference regular season championship, I'm taking the points. Give me St. Mary's. 1.1 units plus 5 for St. Mary's on the road up against Gonzaga. As long as it's over 4, I like this. All right. If you guys get 6, you get 6.5, even better. But I need over 2 buckets for me to really get involved here with St. Mary's. I think Gonzaga wins, but I think it's going to come down to 1, 2, 3 points, somewhere in that range. I'll take the 5. SMU, St. Mary's, plus 5 on the road at Gonzaga for 1.1 units. Okay, so not a heavy card. There might be an ad later, but I tend to screw up when I add games day of. It tends to not go great for me, so I'm probably just going to keep the 3.3 units in play here and be happy with that officially and do some other things. You know, you have the Celtics and you've got the Sixers playing today. If you want more, the B's and C's parlay. We pulled it on my other show on the Bostonian versus the Book. It's interesting. So in Boston, when the Bruins and Celtics have won on the same day, played on the same day, and you've bet them both on a parlay, it's 14-13, up 3.1 units. So it's not as profitable. In November and December, it was really profitable. January, February, it hasn't been nearly as profitable when they play on the same day, but Celtics against the Sixers, Bruins against the Canucks, I will be playing that. I'm not making it official, but I will be playing that. And just as a Celtics fan and a Bruins fan, it's a fun parlay to make. It's always plus money. So you'll get some plus on that. You want to have some fun with it. Celtics Sixers is going to be a barn burner of a basketball game. I can't wait to watch it. I'm in on that, but I'm just not going to bet it. Creighton and Villanova is today. I think Villanova wins that game. I don't like the Jays on the road and the way Nova's playing right now. I would tend to go take Nova at home as a short favorite -2. You want some more leans and some more action on that, but officially we're going over 148.5 Baylor and Texas, over Iowa, Michigan State, 144.5. And we're going St. Mary's plus 5, all for 1 unit returns here on a Saturday. My name is Matt Perrault. Follow me on Twitter at SportsTalkMatt. Each and every morning, it is the Daily Juice Podcast being brought to you by BetMGM.